Hi guys, welcome to another video with Melissa. Today we are kind of doing an unboxing video and a kind of a review video and kind of a nostalgic video. It's a very different one than normally I do on my channel. Is book related. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the Goosebumps movie. Back in the day, like 20 years ago, I was the hugest Goosebumps fangirl ever in the whole history of the world. And I take that title. That's my title. There's no way anybody beat me on this. And I don't have all my Goosebumps stuff anymore. Because unfortunately when you move countries you make hard decisions on what you can bring with you. But I do actually have my entire Goosebumps book collection. And I'm going to do a separate video unboxing the books that are not in my top 10. Because I had them separate. Because literally when I moved countries, I took pretty much like my top 20 Goosebumps books with me, and the rest stayed back at my dad's. Eventually he sent them with for me in a big box, and then they have been put in a box since, and they haven't been opened in probably at least 5 to 7 years. So I want to open up that box for you. So that's kind of a nostalgic unboxing, and I'll be doing that in my next video. But what we're going to do first is just talk about the Goosebumps movie and what I thought about it. So I've been waiting a really long time for the Goosebumps movie, and I was not disappointed. It felt a lot like the television show. The main things that annoyed me, being a Goosebumps fan from back in the day, was the lack of some of the villains from my youth. I know there's been lots and lots of Goosebumps books since, and R.L. Stine pretty much writes a new Goosebumps book every 2 days, it seems. And there's like lots of Goosebumps series, like the Goosebumps HorrorLand and the Goosebumps 2000 series. Those were not my Goosebumps books. I'm talking about the original 64, which I own. I've got some of the Give Yourself Goosebumps as well, but the original 64 are the classic Goosebumps. So I was disappointed not to see the horrors from One Day at HorrorLand. I'll tell you why in a minute when I do my top 10 Goosebumps books. And also the lack of seeing the Haunted Mask. I believe it's in one teeny little scene, the Haunted Mask with Carly Beth. But it's R.L. Stine's favorite Goosebumps book of all time, so it was really disappointing not to have her kind of be more center stage. I know they went for more of the kind of the classic monsters, ones that I guess if kids hadn't read Goosebumps or didn't know very much about Goosebumps, the books or the television series, they could get behind, like the werewolf of Fever Swamp, the lawn gnomes, Slappy, the praying mantis from Shocker on Shock Street, regular just ghouls, which I don't think it's from like an original Goosebumps book. I don't remember them. The haunted car, which I believe is not an original Goosebumps book either, because I was like, and that's Stephen King's Christine. I was a little bit confused on that one, because I was like, there's no Goosebumps book named The Haunted Car, is there? But I have found out later on, yes there is. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen more monsters, but there will be a Goosebumps sequel apparently. Hopefully in 2019. So I'm hoping that will be more focused on HorrorLand. Since R.L. Stine did do a whole book series of just about HorrorLand, I thought there would be more to it. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. The other thing is Jack Black's annoying accent. R.L. Stine does not sound like that. I've heard him many times on the Goosebumps TV series. He doesn't sound like that. It's so bad. We're talking about someone that was born in Ohio and now lives in like New England. He doesn't sound like that. He really doesn't. It is such a bad accent, and Jack Black, why? Why did you do that? I mean, I guess you were trying to make him more creepy, but you just made him weird. I do like the bits in there where like R.L. Stine's living under an assumed name of Mr. Shivers, and actually I think that's from a Goosebumps book. But another funny thing, there used to be these books called the Michigan Shivers, which were rip-off of Goosebumps books, so I kind of like that reference. And then also the whole bit with the little teeny tiny hidden things of Goosebumps, which I did like. So like the cuckoo clock being in the basement from the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, which I thought was quite sweet. all the stuff with Slappy. I love Slappy. Who doesn't love Slappy? If you were a Goosebumps fan, you love Slappy. But I would have liked to have seen other, like, classic characters. I know Curly is kind of like the Goosebumps mascot, but not really in the books. But I would have liked to have seen Curly. Come on, put Curly in there. For those who don't know, Curly was like a skeleton with like a mohawk. He was awesome, and I'll show you those when I do some of my Goosebump unboxing. He's on some of the covers of some of the Goosebump official fan club books that I have. And also, like, Cuddles the hamster from Monster Blood. Where was Monster Blood? Monster Blood is huge in the Goosebump universe. Where was that? I would have loved to have seen that. I mean, there were some good ones in there, and just some that I didn't get. Also the Evil Clown, which I think is from a later Goosebump series, but I don't recognize him, and he was in there a lot. I don't know if he was overly popular or something, but I don't know. But yeah, I liked the Goosebump movie enough. I will probably buy it on DVD. I wasn't overly disappointed. I liked the story. I did guess the twist really, really early, because as soon as they said the girl's name was Hannah, and she lived next door. If you haven't seen it, don't listen to this. That she was the ghost next door. Because, well, history lesson for you. R.L. Stine doesn't have a daughter. He has a son. So I was like, why are they giving him a daughter in this? Because he doesn't have a daughter. He only has a son. But then that kind of makes sense more. And I like that there was this little love story in there that was quite sweet. And I really like the bit about them going up to the Ferris wheel and sitting on the top of the Ferris wheel. That was so sweet. But I would have been happier if that little amusement park would have been HorrorLand, because it's so easy to do. You could just put the word HorrorLand on it, and that's all you had to do. It's not that difficult. I think I'd give the movie, if I was just grading it fairly, it's not going to be in my top 10 anywhere near it, and I'll probably do a video eventually of what my top 10 movies are, but it's not there. I feel bad, but 3.5 out of 5 maximum. It isn't that great. It was okay. And I think it missed some really things that you could have made it really nostalgic with. Like, working in the Goosebump theme from the television show would have been awesome if you would have just done it. It's not that hard. You could have just had it as someone's ringtone. It would have been funny. Just little things. And that's all you got to do is put the little things in there. And I also felt that when we looked at the monsters, when there was like pan shots of all the monsters, they cut away so quickly so they didn't have to like spend that much on the CGI. And that annoyed me. Because I was like, ooh, what monsters get? It's gone. I can't look. So that got really annoying really quickly. And the monster they did choose, I think, were good choices. The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena is a good choice. Werewolf of Fear Swamp, good choice. Slappy is a good choice. Forget what they are now. The Lawn Gnomes are a good choice. The ones that are from the newer book series, I just don't think were good choices. Like the clown, the vampire dog, which most people will think is the barking dog, but no, it is a vampire dog. It's I can't remember, it's like a book series, I think it's called Don't Feed the Vampire or something like that. It was a later book, but I did recognize the cover from that one. But yeah, so I thought it was okay. I'm alright with it. It didn't ruin my childhood. Thank God for that, but it was alright. And I'm hoping they'll make improvements and the second movie will be better, because sometimes that happens. If any of you have ever seen the Scooby-Doo movies, the first one is horrendous, but the second one's a lot better. Because they actually use more of the storyline from Scooby-Doo. So, hopefully Goosebumps will learn its lessons, learn a lot from the fandom, and be able to improve those things. So, now what I have for you is my top 10 Goosebump books. Now, keep in mind, I have not read these books in probably 20 years. And I don't have time to read them. I would sit down and read all of them again and make sure, but 64 books is a lot to read, especially when I'm doing a reading challenge for other things. And I have work and, like, a life outside of work. So, I want to do my top 10 Goosebump books for you, based on what I remember about them. I have watched some of the Goosebump TV series lately on Netflix, and I do also have it on DVD, but they're not always the same as the books. So, my Goosebump books are actually in an official licensed Goosebump backpack I got when I was about like 10 or 12. So it's still pretty good, and I nearly took this with me to go see the Goosebumps premiere. Those of you wondering why I'm doing this video so late, it only premiered in the UK on Saturday, because we get movies so far behind the United States sometimes. So I've had to wait months for it. So we're going to have a look at my favorite Goosebumps books. I do have a written list as well, because I will forget. So we're going to do it counting downwards from 10 to 1. So my first favorite Goosebump, number 10, is, and keep in mind these are my original Goosebumps, so they are in really bad conditions of them, is Night of the Living Dummy, the original one. Now, for those of you who remember anything about Night of the Living Dummy, it's not actually about Slappy. It is about another dummy named Mr. Wood. Slappy is in Night of the Living Dummy, but he's kind of a background character. So when they opened up in the Goosebumps movie, we'll go back to that just for a second, the book with Night of the Living Dummy, Slappy does not play a major part in that. It would be Mr. Wood. So just read you the back of it. So Lindy names the ventriloquist dummy she finds Slappy. Slappy's kind of ugly, but he's a lot of fun. Lindy's having a great time learning to make Slappy move and talk, but Chris is jealous of all the attention her sister is getting. It's no fair. Why does Lindy always have all the luck? Chris decides to get a dummy of her own. She'll show Chris. The weird things begin to happen. Nasty things, evil things, and no way a dummy can be causing all the trouble. Or is it? So, we've got Slappy on the cover there. Books about two twins that become interested in ventriloquism. Yeah, R.L. Stine was not cool in the 90s. He didn't know it was cool. So he just wrote books. And they're kind of creepy anyway. But he is pretty much the Goosebump logo other than Curly. That's what you associate with Goosebumps, is this dummy Slappy. So I had to put him in my top 10. It's a good book. I don't think it's one of the worst Goosebumps, and I will go over my worst ones as well, because there are some really, really bad ones. But I think it's fun, it's entertaining. It's a little disturbing how the parents don't believe the kids. It's something that always bothered me about Goosebumps, is like, problems could be solved so easily by the parents just believing the kids for once, but of course they don't. So that's number 10, Night of the Living Dummy. So the next one I have is It Came From Beneath the Sink. And you're probably wondering, why have you chosen this one? I got reasons for choosing every one of these. So, I'll just read the description first. Their luck's about to go down the drain. Kat and her brother Daniel are so lucky. They just moved in a new house with tons of rooms, 2 balconies, and along the sides of a football field. But all that good luck is about to run out, because there's something really evil living in their house. Something that's moving, watching, waiting. Something that comes from beneath the kitchen sink. Okay. Also want to mention, I love the book covers for the American Goosebumps. The English ones are horrible comparably. Sorry to any English people that grew up with Goosebumps, but the American ones are so much better. So, It Came From Beneath the Sink. Why do I like this one? Because the villain is a sponge. It is just so silly, and it is one of the ultimate Goosebumps books, because it is just the silliest villain about this sponge that brings bad luck. And I love the concept of it, that they're in this new house and they just find the sponge under the sink, and it causes all this bad luck and all this stuff to happen to them. I just think it's a funny villain. That's why it's in my top 10, because it's just a great thing. Okay, so the next one. Okay, so number 8, A Night in Tower Terror. I have to choose this one now. I might not have chose it when I was a kid, but I have to choose this one now because I live in England now. And it's one of the only ones that takes place in England. So, all locked up and no place to go, Sue and her brother Eddie are visiting London when they run into a little problem. They came from the tour group. Still, there's no reason to panic. No way for their tour guide would just leave them alone. All alone in a gloomy old prison tower. No way they get locked inside after dark with all those eerie sounds and a strange dark figure who wants them dead. It's great. This is a good one. Based on, apparently, the Tower of London, of course. The stereotypes, as far as I remember, of British people are hilarious. I probably need to read this one again now that I live in England, because it'd probably be even funnier. But I had to choose it because I've been to the London the London Tower, and it's part of my life now as well, so it kind of goes along with it. And I love that the villain is an executioner. He's awesome. Yeah, that's a really scary villain as well, because you would be frightened if you came in contact with that guy. He's scary. Alright, so that is number 8. Next one, okay, is The Attack of the Mutant. So, just read the back from that. Read at your own risk. Skipper Matthews has an awesome comic book collection. His favorite is called The Masked Mutant. It's about an evil supervillain who's out to rule the universe. Skipper can't get enough of the mutant, until one day he gets lost in a strange part of town and finds a building that looks exactly like the mutant's headquarters, a building that appears and disappears. Has Skipper read one too many comic books, or does the masked mutant really live in Riverview Falls? Now, the comic book fan in me loves this one, and I did love this one as a kid as well, and even before I got into comics. The whole idea of finding a fictional universe within your hometown really appealed to me. And it appeals to me more now as like I'm older as well, because I love comic books now, and finding, like, let's say you were like walking around your neighborhood and you found the Batcave. It would be awesome, wouldn't it? So trying to find your one of the supervillains from your comic series hideout is pretty cool. I do really like the Goosebumps TV series version of this as well. It's one of my favorite ones. So Attack of the Mutant, definitely in my top 10. Okay, the next one. I actually just watched this one again last night on Netflix. So, another Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. Picked this one because when I was a kid I loved trick-or-treating. I loved dressing up. And I think the character Drew is a lot like me when I was younger. I loved trying to, like, scare people. I loved dressing up. I loved Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I think there's like a quote she says, Halloween's about being someone else, and that's how I always think of Halloween. That's pretty much how I refer to it. So let's read the back. Pumpkin Power. Nothing beats Halloween. It's Drew Brockman's favorite holiday, and this year's going to be awesome, much better than last year. Or the year Lee and Tabby played that joke, a nasty practical joke on Drew and her best friend Walker. Yes, this year Drew and Walker have a plan for revenge, and involves 2 scary pumpkin heads. But there's something gone wrong, way wrong, because the pumpkin heads are a little too scary, a little too real, with strange hissing voices and flames shooting out of their faces. Ooh. It actually tells you to watch Goosebumps TV series as well. And the best thing about this book is I still have the original cards and bookmark in it. Oh my god, they've survived 20 years without getting perforated. If I move them, they probably will be now. But it just tells you, they used to have all these collectible cards in like the later Goosebumps. So they had one for the book you were on, and then usually like the next one as well, I think it is. Yeah, the next one, Vampire Breath, would be the next one. And then also bookmark. So you used to get those a lot in the Goosebumps books. I love trick-or-treating, and I love Halloween. I love aliens as well, so this really appealed to me, and I love the twist at the end. I really do. This is a really good book. Twist that her best friends are actually aliens, and that's how they were able to dress up and change their appearance and scare the other kids. So this is a really great book. Not as worn as some of my other ones. I don't know if I've read it as much, probably because it was an older Goosebump. Okay, then we've got The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't like this one as much. I don't think this is as popular as some of the other ones, but it's about time travel, and I love time travel, so it had to be one of my favorite ones because it involves time travel. So, back says, don't beat the clock. Tara the Terrible, that's what Michael Webster calls his bratty little sister. She loves getting Michael in trouble, making his life miserable, and things could get any worse. When Mr. Webster brings home an antique cuckoo clock, it's old, it's expensive. Mr. Webster won't let anybody touch it. Poor Michael. He should have listened to his dad. Because someone put a spell on that clock. A strange spell. A dangerous spell. And now Michael's life will never be the same again. So, if you haven't read this one, it involves the character Michael changing, I think he turns the cuckoo clock's head backwards, and he starts going backwards in time. First to his 12th birthday, then to his 6th birthday, and then to a baby, and he has to turn that back before he can get back, so they have to get to the antique store to do it, because of course his dad doesn't. And he ends up making his sister disappear as well. And for those of you that had little brothers and sisters that annoyed you a lot, and I pretty much was like Michael, I had a little brother that annoyed me, it's an ultimate fantasy to have them disappear sometimes. At the time, not now, my brother's much older now, but at the time when I was probably reading this, I probably would have liked my brother to disappear. So that is the Cuckoo Clock of Doom about time travel, so it's awesome. Okay, now the next one, another one that most of you probably won't have picked, but The Girl That Cried Monster. This is a very early Goosebumps book. This is number 8, so this is one of the first ones. And it's about a character that sees a librarian acting very strange. And since I love libraries, even when I was younger, my dad used to work in a library, and now I work in a library, it really appeals to me. Story about librarians. So the back says, she's telling the truth, but no one believes her. Lucy likes to tell monster stories. She's told so many that her friends and family are sick of it. Then one day, Lucy discovers a real-life monster, a librarian in charge of the summer reading program. Too bad Lucy's told too many monster-tall tales. Too bad no one believes a word she says. Too bad the monster knows who she is and is coming after her next. This was a great book. One of the best twists in Goosebumps history. That she's a monster as well, and so are her parents. And they were actually trying to eat this guy rather than him being the monster. So that is a really good one. Like the cover of him eating the fish and also the bugs. It's a really cool Goosebump. One of my favorites. Okay. We're getting down to the top ones. How many do we have left? We have 3 left. Oh my god. So, top 3. Next one. This is really worn out. Sorry guys, I've read this one a lot. The Shocker on Shock Street. I think this one might have actually nearly gone through the washing machine at one point. The Shocker on Shock Street. So this is where we get the giant praying mantis from the movie. So talk about a shock treatment. Erin Wright and her best friend Marty love horror movies, especially the Shocker on Shock Street movies, and all kinds of scary movies live on Shock Street. The Toadinator, Ape-Face, The Mad Mangler. But when Erin and Marty visit the new Shocker Studio theme park, they get scared of their lives. First, their train gets stuck in the cave of living creeps. Then they're attacked by a group of enormous praying mantises. Real life is a whole lot scarier in the movies, but Shock Street isn't real, is it? I loved horror movies and also anything to do with theme parks when I was younger. So, this was one of my favorite books. I love the praying mantis as a villain, and I love the twist ending of this one. I won't give this one away. It's really good. Okay. Next one. The Haunted Mask. First one to be made into a TV special. Also R.L. Stine's favorite book. It's about a girl named Carly Beth who wants to scare her friends. So face to face with a nightmare. How ugly is Carly Beth's Halloween mask? It's so ugly it almost scared her little brother to death. So terrifying that even her friends are totally freaked out by it. It's the best Halloween mask ever. It's everything Carly hoped it would be and more. And maybe too much because Halloween's almost over and Carly Beth is still wearing that special mask. So, as I said before, I love Halloween, so this really appeals to me. But getting stuck in your Halloween costume and not being able to take it off is like the scariest thing ever. So this really appealed to me when I was a kid. Okay, and the last one, I actually have 2 copies of this one. One Day at HorrorLand, which was voted the best Goosebumps book of all time, and definitely is. My copy is so beat up, unfortunately. And I also have, I went to France when I was 16. I also have a copy in French as well. Because it was the one book I wanted to buy in French when I was there. So, One Day at HorrorLand. The next ride might be their last. The Moores family got lost trying to find Zoo Garden theme park. But that's okay. They found another amusement park instead. It's called HorrorLand. In HorrorLand there are no crowds, no lines, and the admission is free. But it seems like a pretty cool place. But that was before the heart-stopping ride and the deadly doom slide and the terrifying experience in the House of Mirrors. That's because something weird about the Rise of HorrorLand. Something's too creepy. It's a little too real. I love amusement parks and I love horror. So a horror amusement park made me love this. I also love the horrors. The villains in this one, they are my favorite villains, and all like the ride concepts are really cool to me. So this is my favorite Goosebumps book of all time. I'm really disappointed they weren't in the movie more. So that was my top 10 Goosebumps books of all time. And also my review of the Goosebumps movie. So please tell me what your favorite books were, if you have a favorite Goosebumps book. And please subscribe to my channel below. And I will be back with an unboxing. So see you later. Bye.